Well, it was no secret. Everyone knew that West Virginia was going to have to play perfect or near perfect football in order to even have a shot against number 5 Texas Tech here at Milan Puskar Stadium Saturday. What happened on Senior Day, though, is really the exact opposite of perfect football. West Virginia was never in this game. West Virginia never had a shot, clearly outmatched by a team that's now bound for the Big 12 championship and very likely the college football playoff. West Virginia falling 49-0 and making history for all the wrong reasons. In fact, it's the first time the Mountaineers have been shut out at home since 2001, Rich Rodriguez's first season during his first stint. It's also one of the most lopsided home losses in program history. In fact, some research by Ryan Decker indicating that it may be West Virginia's worst shutout loss, home or away, in more than 100 years. So not good all around for WVU. Regardless, we're here to react to the action for you one final time on a post-game edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast. Nick Farrell here alongside Sydney Carriel, and we're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination. Sid, this was never a game, was it? Texas Tech scoring on its first 3 possessions, West Virginia punting on its first 2, and then having a turnover on downs, and really after that it was just all downhill from there.
Yep, agreed. It really just it was all downhill from there. Once Texas Tech scored on their opening drive, they've scored on 7 opening drives in their 11 games and make it 8 with this one right here. So that kind of, I think, just kind of set the tone for the Red Raiders early, and they never looked back there. WVU's defense did try to stay strong in the first half, at least in the first quarter. They did push the Red Raiders to back-to-back third downs. I think it might have been a 4th down in there too, but they just couldn't get out of those long distance yardages. I don't know what it was. It would be 3rd and 11, couldn't get the stop. 3rd and 15 after a Red Raider penalty, couldn't get the stop. So it just, I think, frustrating because you get the stop on first down, you get the stop on 2nd down, now you got them at 3rd and long, and then they get a first down, and it just, their momentum just was hard to keep up with, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was really clear from the jump which team was in year 1 under a new head coach and which team was the one that had millions of dollars to spend in the transfer portal and is likely heading to the college football playoff, right? I mean, West Virginia was just outmatched. The eye test told you that. The stats after the game say the same thing. Yardage in the game, Texas Tech 572 to West Virginia's 180. Passing, Texas Tech nearly 400 yards through the air. West Virginia used a bunch of different quarterbacks for 143 passing yards. And then rushing, just another abysmal rushing performance for West Virginia. 188 rushing yards for the Red Raiders, just 37 for WVU. Only 1 Mountaineer out of 7 ball carriers had a net in double digits of more than 10 yards. 6 others carrying for 9 yards or fewer. Coach Rodriguez has said a bunch of times, and said so earlier today, and we're going to listen to his post-game comments here in a moment, that this team has a lot of work ahead and has had a lot of problems. And I think that you'll agree, Sid, that running the football definitely is one of those problems.
That was one of those problems. And you knew that this running back room was banged up going into this game, losing Dior Hubbard for the final game of the season. Obviously, we didn't have Jaheim White for ever since the Ohio game.
That's right, last 10 games, right?
Yeah, last 10 games. So you already knew this room was banged up, but just not having any depth at all really, really, really hurt the Mountaineers, not just in this game, but throughout this back half of the season. And, you know, WVU's offense, 5 3-and-outs in a row. 5. They just never got it going, whether it was on the ground or in the air. It never offensively got a rhythm.
Yeah, and this Texas Tech team, right, it has the best defense in the Big 12, one of the best defenses in the country, leading the Big 12 in several categories, including scoring defense. That scoring D average got a little bit better today as the Mountaineers put up a goose egg. We were chatting with some of the Red Raiders media contingent that made the trip to Morgantown, and a couple of them pointed out to us that West Virginia is not the only team to get beaten in this fashion by the Red Raiders, and that is a really fair point. But I think from Coach Rodriguez's perspective, it's all about looking inward now, because the 3 of the final 5 games, West Virginia has rushed for below 100 yards. And the calling card of a Rich Rodriguez offense is to play up-tempo football, run it right down your throats, and score a bunch of touchdowns. And that just hasn't been happening. And to your point, Sid, right, it is a valid point. No Jaheim White, no Dior Hubbard, who's the guy who leads West Virginia in rushing and has kind of emerged here late in the season. So it was always going to be a really difficult task today against this really stout Texas Tech defense. But you'd like to think that somebody somewhere was going to step up and at least show a little bit of fight today. I'm not saying that the effort wasn't there, surely, but it just there was no execution in any phase of the run game, with the exception of one jet sweep in the fourth quarter when both teams had their reserves in the game.
I was a little surprised Curtis Jones didn't have more of an opportunity in the running back position. I know they wanted to focus him more on the defensive end of the ball today, but I think when the offense is stalling, maybe you do whatever you can to change something up. I mean, saw him switch the quarterbacks. I don't know, but we're not in that locker room. We don't know what they're saying behind the scenes.
So hard to highlight bright spots in this game when you get shut out, but I do think there were a couple, at least individually, for West Virginia. Out of the 37 seniors who were honored today, Jeff Weimer probably had the best game of the group with 6 receptions for 77 yards. He is a player who has definitely come on strong here in the latter half of the season and has really finished his collegiate career respectfully, for sure. It played really well today and was arguably West Virginia's best offensive weapon.
Yeah, you'll hear this in a minute from Coach Rodriguez, but I'll paraphrase real quick. He did say, you saw why Jeff Weimer was a captain the last 3-4 games of the season is because of coming out in games like this. Bummer we didn't have him earlier in the year because he had to wait a little bit. I forget how many games.
Eligibility lawsuit, right?
Yeah,
so it was early in the season. He didn't get to practice really with West Virginia, if I remember correctly, until maybe like the actual first week of the regular season.
Feels so long ago.
Right.
It's all gelling together. But point is, Coach Rodriguez knows that Jeff Weimer would make an impact at some point in this year, and he definitely did in this game. It's a bummer that those drives stalled with turnovers at the end because it seemed like that was at least going to get points on the board for WVU. But like you said, for him, senior year, last game of his college career, put up some good numbers.
Right, and your boy, Eddie Vesterinen, the hardworking man from Finland, recovered a fumble in the second half. You could tell he was very excited. We know from chatting with him for the Rich Rodriguez show this week that he had a bunch of family in from Finland today, and I saw a few Finland flags in the stands at Milan Puskar Stadium today, so that was a pretty cool moment for Eddie.
Yeah, his mom and some friends were here, so it was emotional when he ran out. Got to see him right before the game when they did the Senior Day celebration, and someone had told me on the sideline here that they hung out with Eddie V's family out in the blue lot, and
awesome.
It was so
That's
nice,
awesome.
Such a time, all the things. So that if we're talking about bright spots, that was maybe one of them before kickoff.
The internationally renowned blue lot, right?
And Oliver Straw's family right next to Eddie V's, so that international bonding, that was happening. Yeah,
very cool. And we've heard, too, that Ollie Straw's folks definitely love a time in the blue lot. So West Virginia, not really much to celebrate, though, today, ending the season on a loss against Texas Tech. You go from having that game against Arizona State that was right there for the taking, thinking that maybe, there might be a shot here today, but that certainly was not the case, as West Virginia is shut out at Milan Puskar Stadium for one of the worst losses in program history. So that's enough from us. We're going to hand it off to the head coach, Rich Rodriguez, who spoke just moments ago to give his thoughts after West Virginia's loss to Texas Tech. We'll go to the podium right after this word from Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination.
The reason I came to the practice was because I had some teeth extracted and I wanted to get some replacements for it. We did a treatment plan to see how many implants they were going to place, and now I'm actually just waiting to get the crowns. The thing I liked the most about coming here, I was greeted with a smile, everything ran smooth, and that they were really going to do what I wanted them to do to make my smile a little better. They're some of the best doctors, and you will get good quality care.
Searching for a mortgage lender that's 100% local, personal, and focused on home loans? First Green Mortgage has been serving West Virginia for more than 35 years, and they can assist you with every step of your home ownership journey. Visit them in Bridgeport or Morgantown or at fgm.bank.
Rich, obviously you knew probably coming in it was going to be a struggle offensively, but your run game just never got anything going. Did you imagine it would be that stagnant?
Well, no, I mean, you got to. I've done this a long time. I know when you're up at a challenge, but I also thought we would respond better. Obviously didn't play well in any phase, didn't coach well, and they got a really good team, but it's disappointing that we didn't get a few more things going in the run game. They're really good up front, but that's still. I'll say this: I've done this long enough. I know our problems. I know how to fix our problems, and it's painful to do it, but we'll do it. And our problems just didn't arise this week. It's been there all season. So I'll know what we need to do and how we got to go about doing it. And that process will be tough. But I do appreciate the seniors. I told them that. I mean, there's a lot of them that came here for 6 months. There's some of them been here for a long time, and I think they did give us their best effort. Unfortunately, they didn't go out the way we wanted to go out, but I appreciate them. And for the rest of the team, staff, players, everybody included, I'm going to evaluate everything as I always do, and I'll fix our problems. Some of them could be fixed pretty quickly. Some of them might take a little time, but I know what they are.
Rich, what'd you think of them faking a punt when they're up 42-0?
It worked for them, didn't it? Yeah. Got them a first down. Got a first down.
Rich, in terms of addressing those problems, is it just the sheer number of them, or it's tough because you're dealing with people and some of them may
in the transactional nature of college sports now, it's sometimes easier to get problems and sometimes it's easier to fix problems. I don't think that we will try to just go get a bunch of portal guys and fix it with that. You know, we had to do what we had to do last year in the way the timeline was going and being late on the high school recruiting cycle. I'm really excited about our recruiting class. I'm not just saying that because I'm up here and we got our tails kicked. I think we'll sign maybe 40 high school, junior college guys next week. We'll get us a dozen or so out of the portal, fix our problems. We'll get some young guys here in our program to get bigger, faster, stronger in the weight room. You know, I'll fix it. I'll fix some other issues I think we may have. And, you know, nobody likes this, least of all me. This is not good, but it ain't going to stay like this forever. So, like I said, some of the problems are going to be a little harder to fix because, you know, but we'll fix them.
Coach, I know you did a lot of evaluation on players that you even want to keep for next year and evaluating all that. Is this the type of game you can use as part of evaluation, or you just throw it out because of the way it went down?
That's a fair question. I think I got the whole body of work. I got to look at every game, you know, but also every practice. You know, we film practice. I mean, everything. And it's not, you know, it's not whether it's the right fit or not. It's just, you know, there's sometimes we had, you know, defensively today, I think we had some guys in position, had contested balls, and they won them all. You know, does that happen all the time? I don't know. It happened too much today. And there were times offensively, you know, where just the guy's blocking the right guy, but the other guy got the best of him. You know, so we got to figure out ways to get our guys more successful as coaches. And then, frankly, we got to recruit at a high level. And that involves recruiting now is more than just selling your school, selling your town, selling your program. Recruiting now involves, you know, the rev share piece of it, which going forward we're going to be in a better shape than we were this time a year ago.
Rich, quarterback situation, just not fair to judge them because they didn't have time. Could you judge anything of how
they competed. I mean, I think Scotty's a great competitor. He probably felt a little rushed today on some of his throws. He missed some throws that he normally would make. And, you know, we didn't do too much drop back because we couldn't hold up there. But like I said, we you know, I would have said that even if we won the game, we got to get bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic, and then we got to coach them up. But I would have said that before. Now it's glaringly shown up that we've got to do that. But we got to – the coaches will – like I said, I'm evaluating everything. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of deal. You know what I mean? There's some good stuff that's in there that we can take, and then there's some stuff that we can't ever do again, you know, from a playing evaluation standpoint that we can get better at. The first year is always the hardest, but it shouldn't be this hard. But I probably could have saw that if we the injury part even if we just stayed healthy, we'd still have some struggles, I think. I mean, the injuries didn't help for sure from an experience standpoint. But, I mean, I get paid pretty good to build a great football program, and I know what the hell I'm doing, even though it may not look like it. I know what the hell I'm doing, and I'll get it right.
Coach, on senior night, Jeff Weimer has his best game, has 6 receptions, 77 yards. What can you say about the fight that he's had the last 2 games, going over 150 combined?
Yeah, Jeff is a reason why he missed the first couple games waiting for his eligibility, but he was a captain, 3-time, 4-time captain this season because of who he is, how he works, and how he competes. He's a guy, boy, you wish you had him back, right? But he made the most of his opportunity, and whatever he's going to do the next 20, 30 years of his life, he'll be successful because of because his mental makeup.
Rich, problems, I'm not going to ask you to recite what your problems are, but what do you have in mind for fixes? Is it on-field stuff? Is it all personnel related? Like, where do you begin? How do you go about the fixes, you said?
Well, personnel's part of it. I mean, personnel everywhere. We got a lot of people involved in the program, a couple hundred. And I'm not saying there's bad everywhere, but there's some spots we can get better at. Evaluate everything that we're doing schematically, everything we're doing. I like our weight room, but almost everything we're doing in the weight room, everything we're doing nutrition-wise, everything we're doing practice-wise. I mean, I'm not one of these guys, we've had success doing it a certain way, and so we're going to do that way all the time no matter what. Well, if there's a better way to do something, we're going to research it and do it. I mean, it's as simple as that. But I've done that every year, but it becomes more glaring to do something, to research, to kick tires, to are we doing everything as best we possibly can? And even though I've been a head coach for 28 years, I have a pretty good idea of it. I'm not going to sit there and say this is acceptable. So, how do we get better? Our fans deserve it. Our university deserves it. Our program deserves it. And there's moments this year where we can grow off of, and there's good and bad. But there's a lot of work that as soon as I leave you all, you fantastic people here, and I'm going to go start recruiting.
That's West Virginia head coach Rich Rodriguez speaking after a season-ending loss to Texas Tech. Mountaineers finished the campaign at 4-8 overall with 2 wins in Big 12 play. Nick Farrell, Sidney Carriel with you on the Golden Blue Nation podcast, brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, home of the same-day smile. So, Sid, West Virginia has had some big moments this season, right? Beating Pitt at this stadium is going to go down as one of the all-time great wins at Milan Puskar Stadium, maybe even the best moment of the year, calendar year for West Virginia athletics as the whole. You go to Houston, you beat a ranked team, first ranked win for WVU since 2018. Those were big moments, but it really feels like this Wednesday, which is National Signing Day, is the single biggest moment for Coach Rodriguez in his first full year as the head coach of the Mountaineers, because now it's about the future. Now it's about building and bringing in the talent and the type and caliber of player that he wants to have at WVU for the future to try to be on the winning side of 500 next season.
Yeah, we've heard about it kind of all year long because by the time Coach Rodriguez got here, it was December. So you're talking that's a short window to find people, get a staff together, one. Then it's a short window to get a team together. And now you're working with that. That's why there's so many seniors out there. You got 1 year guys. So this, like you said, this is the time for him to get in the players that he wants and that will hopefully stay here in Morgantown for a few years and not just one and done or they're not just seniors finding their home for their last year. So this is huge week coming up for Coach Rodriguez, and we heard him just say there that he knows how to fix the problem, just got to give a little time. Nobody panic yet, I think is what he was trying to say in lesser words. But we saw a little bit of positive of signing day a few weeks ago when Kevin Brown committed to WVU, and that was huge, a big offensive tackle. His dad was here. That was a big deal. So come signing day, hopefully there's some more of those big names that come about.
It does seem like there's a lot of positive momentum for West Virginia heading into signing day. So just a couple of key dates to keep in mind. Wednesday, December 3rd is National Signing Day. So Coach Rodriguez is likely going to ink maybe 30 or more prep recruits from what it sounds like. That's the target number, or at least in that vicinity. Then come January, that's likely when you'll see West Virginia start to ink signees out of the transfer portal as the roster continues to take shape. And then, of course, spring football will start a few months after that, and we'll really get our first glimpse at what the 2026 West Virginia Mountaineers will look like. But it all starts Wednesday, and we'll have a complete recap of National Signing Day for you at goldenbluenation.com in the Daily Mountaineer Minute with Sydney on your local Nexstar station, and on this weekend's episode of The Rich Rodriguez Show, airing December 5th on Sportsnet Pittsburgh and December 6th on local TV stations here in West Virginia, WBOI, WOWK, WVNS, and WTRF. Final Rich Rodriguez show of the season, by the way, so make sure you tune in to get insight from the head coach about this prep recruiting class that's got a lot of people really excited. And once the ink hits the paper, then it's really safe to celebrate. Hopefully, what will be a really talented recruiting class for West Virginia. So, Sid, man, it's been fun this year though doing these post-game shows. Appreciate all your hard work.
I'm sad it's over.
Well, don't worry. There's going to be plenty more sports to cover. You like basketball, Sid? There's going to be a lot of that.
Don't worry. See you at the Coliseum tomorrow. Hope Coliseum, that is.
Yeah, exactly.
By tomorrow, I mean Sunday for the folks listening the next day. I don't know.
For those of you who do like basketball, men's basketball against Mercyhurst is what Sid's alluding to. That's a 3 p.m. tip Sunday at Hope Coliseum. Then the Mountaineer women back at home Monday night to take on Villanova. And, of course, if you want coverage of that, there's no better place to go than goldenbluenation.com and the free Golden Blue Nation app. Sydney, Ryan Decker, Cody Nesper, they'll have you covered wall-to-wall throughout basketball season. That's a wrap on the Golden Blue Nation podcast and on football season as West Virginia falls to Texas Tech. Thanks for being with us all year long. We're brought to you, as always, by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination.